Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. We have a great show for you today, covering some baseball tonight, a lot of Monday Night Football, and some NFL reaction to start off the show. Let's see how we did on Friday and Sunday Night Football. This is a pretty complex recap screen. We'll take you through it pretty quickly. This is Friday's show. I believe this one is 6 and 7, but when we flip over to Sunday Night Football, a lot more green than red there, but still a couple of pushes. I do want to point out my Texans -6 on the recap screen is accurate, but if you recall, I had this on SportsLine. If you follow my picks at SportsLine, at Texans -5.5. So just an FYI there, the recap screen didn't actually reflect the number that I got. Either way, an okay day overall. Friday, Sunday, we want to do better than that. We want those pushes to be wins and those X's to be green. But we're going to do that with the stars of the show. We're going to bring them in right now. And I see you, Big Cheesy. I see you, Mark Buckholtz and Matt and so many others in here. Hit the like button. And thank you so much for being in here. Sniper, I do want to get to you on the Chicago Bears because that's your team and they were featured on primetime. I didn't think they were as bad as maybe some people might say this morning. But Larry, I do want to start with you. It was an interesting NFL day. There's continuing to be breaking news. Speaking of breaking, no pun intended, Isaiah Pacheco appears to have a fractured fibula, which could keep him out 4 weeks or maybe much longer, depending on where that fracture is. Larry, your reaction to week 2 so far? We got one game left.
Plethora of serious injuries, which you hate to see all these stars going down. One takeaway from last night, I mean, luckily I had 5.5 on the Texans, but D'Amico Ryans, 4th and inches, decides to kick a field goal when they had a chance to go up 17-3 and kind of put that game away. And that kept the Bears in it. And of course, the fumble at the goal line.
Yeah.
So that was a bad push for people who had Texans -6, in my opinion. I mean, two quarterbacks that are diametrically opposite. Derek Carr has led 15 straight scoring drives. That is unbelievable. And on the other side, Will Levis, again, when you think he can't do anything more stupid than he did in week 1, he manages to do that, falling down, throws the ball away. They were up 7-0, a chance to make it 10-0. And of course, the Jets go on to win by a touchdown. I'm not bitter that I backed the Tennessee Titans again.
You were on. See, this is the thing about the NFL more than other sports is that you can be on the right side and it just takes one play that you think is unthinkable that can really flip the script for you. Mike, let me go to you. Your reaction to NFL week 2, anything that stood out to you?
A lot that stood out. I could talk an hour for that for sure. Talking about the Titans quickly, I think that Callahan wishes he probably had Malik Willis back on the roster because they probably would have won those 2 games with a quarterback that didn't think he could throw the football. So yeah, very interesting week overall. As far as the Chiefs losing Pacheco, I think that's going to be huge. I think he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks personally. Yeah. So I think that that'll change. Over the last 15 games with Kansas City, we really saw them try to run the football a lot more. Now it's going to be back to old school Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball almost every play. So that'll definitely impact prop markets, game totals, a lot of those things going forward. So yeah, I can go on for hours. We don't have time for that, but it was an interesting week to say the least. If you didn't have a lot of success, you probably were not alone. And as I was talking with Larry before the show, consensus picks and contests 1-9 so far to start the season against the spread.
Wow. And by the way, I kind of wanted you to go for like 60 minutes on your reaction. I feel like we need to, and I know resources aren't in the infinity range, but an NFL reaction show would be pretty fun where we just lament our plight with bets, but also celebrate some of the wins and good plays and good teams. Sniper, listen, I see Big Cheesy in the chat. He says, Caleb Williams is so bad, LOL. Listen, I'll tell you right now, everybody knows me. I was pretty vocal about not being on the Caleb Williams train. Didn't think he was generational. Didn't think he was the best quarterback in the draft. However, you look at the stat line, it doesn't look very good, but your reaction to watching him yesterday, because other than a couple of hero ball throws that he probably shouldn't have made, he was under duress. I thought he was okay.
That one pick down the sideline, that was bad. And that's the type of stuff that in your second game, you're a rookie, you're going to learn, hey, you got away with that crap in college. You're not going to get away with it in the NFL because the guys are strong or faster, they're longer, they're going to react quicker to plays like that. And that's why that was a pick instead of either a completion, which it might have been if the guy wasn't underneath, or you threw it out of bounds, whatever. I don't know how you could actually watch that game and have your bigger takeaway be that Caleb Williams is bad instead of that the Bears offensive line is absolutely pathetic. He has no time to do anything at all. I saw other people complaining about the play calling. Again, How? I don't know. I don't know if it was good or bad. How can you judge anything except how bad the offensive line is? It's so bad they can't do anything. So hopefully that gets better. But hey, the defense held CJ Stroud to 3 points in the second half. That's a major win. And the Bears being 1-1 right now, I don't think I have any complaints about that at all. I was expecting to lose last night and had a chance to go down and score a touchdown and win it with the, in the last couple minutes. So that's pretty much all you can ask there.
Agree. Mike, go ahead.
I would just say with the Bears, if you're a Bears fan and just watching that in general, their defense was actually pretty impressive in the second half. They really kept him in it and gave him a shot. As far as Caleb, he just has to remember he's not at USC anymore. He made a number of plays that he frankly would have turned into 20-yard gains in college football. It's just the speed of the defensive line and in general defensive ends. Not quite there yet. If you're playing against Caleb Williams, the note so far is absolutely send pressure. Blitz at all costs, essentially, because he's got a little happy feet there because he's so used to playing hero ball.
Yeah, that one pick, he probably would have been better off if he just would have taken that sack instead of somehow getting out of that and having his shirt completely torn off.
Shout out to Lassiter, the defensive back for the Bears, because that was an incredible catch on the play we're talking about. Then he also had another interception that was nullified. These were amazing catches. I think you might want to line this guy up at wide receiver, give us some Travis Hunter action as well. All right, let's get to some MLB action before we talk Monday Night Football. Sniper, you're leading us off. So we have a 7:45 game that you like and a 9:40 game that you like. I only point out the times because the football game starts at 8:15. So you can kind of gauge where you think you're at about 30 minutes before kickoff, and then you can gauge where you're at about an hour and a half after kickoff. We got a couple of things that we can kind of play with outside of Monday Night Football.
Yeah, and I actually did this on purpose because my early play is a pitcher, so you can watch his strikeouts, then you can go to football, and my late game is a result, so you can go. I did not do that on purpose at all. I was just trying to see how well I could sell that. We'll start with Paul Skeens over 6.5 strikeouts. I'd been avoiding that because I thought the Pirates were really going to be holding him down the stretch, but it seems pretty evident that as long as he's taking the mound, he's going to go 90 to 100 pitches, and that's probably going to be 6 innings. And 2 times this year, he's faced the Cardinals. He struck them out 8 times each time. It looks like he's probably going to go 6 innings, which means he's going to strike out 7 or 8 guys. And the line is 6.5 right here, and there's not that much juice on it. So I'm going to go with the over 6.5. We're probably going to have to sweat that out. Actually, now that I think about it, that might bleed into football a little bit. But hey, maybe he'll go nuts in the first couple innings. The Cardinals are actually kind of a low strikeout team, but in the last 2 weeks, they've struck out a lot more frequently as it looks more and more like their season is over. They're certainly playing that poorly for their season to be over. So I do like the over 6.5 here. Also in the late game, I'm going to go with the Padres on the run line, and there's a lot of plus money side on that one because most people would disagree with me on this. I'm going to get a little crazy here. I think a lot of people, where I went on this was a lot of people keep talking to me about how hot the Astros have been, how amazing they've been ever since their slow start. Okay, that's all well and good, but since the All-Star break, the Astros are 30-23. The Padres are 35-16, much better than the Astros. This month so far, the Astros are 7-6. Padres are 8-4. Astros are on the 3rd leg of a long road trip here. Padres are coming home. Yu Darvish, it's his 3rd start back since returning from. It wasn't injury, then it was personal reasons. I love that 3rd start back. That's when a starting pitcher has been fully acclimated back into kind of getting into his routine, feeling like himself. He's going to throw well tonight. Spencer Arrighetti on the mound for the Astros. He has a lot of good outings mixed in recently, but he's been very inconsistent. He was embarrassed in Cincinnati 2 starts ago. So I like the Padres offense here. I have them winning by multiple runs, and I love that plus 162.
See, Sniper, this is what I love about you. You're just not afraid because you could have very easily come to this show and said, Padres money line minus 125, but you want the plus 162 and you're willing to take the X, or the red marking on the recap screen because you like the plus 162 so much. Your reaction to that, because people could just take the money line.
Yeah, I was going to say I might push back a little bit on me being fearless. It might be kind of cowardly here because my biggest concern on the game was the way Robert Suarez is pitching right now for the Padres. If it's only a 1-run lead, I would be worried that he was going to blow it. So I was like, yeah, let's get them a multi-run win there. So I had to confess there.
I will say this. This is one of the games I I do have a Monday Night Football pick. I almost put out a baseball pick, and maybe I will later because I did like the money line at that number. Really like Darvish in this spot. And you're right, Arrighetti did get embarrassed a couple starts ago. That type of inconsistency against the Padres, you might be on the wrong end of it. What was it, like 9 runs in the first inning, if memory serves? Something crazy.
In Cincinnati, he lasted 2/3 of an inning and gave up 9.
That's crazy. That reminds me of Hunter Brown's first start, or one of those first starts of the season. But of course, he corrected himself quite well. If you want to make any of those picks or any of the picks in the chat, I see Big Cheesy and Moshi and a bunch of other people putting picks in the chat. Go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot more picks to get to, including a lot of Monday Night Football. Mike McClure is up next. Well, he's up after this message from our partners.
It's the beginning, we just got started.
It all begins in the here and now.
It's the beginning, we just got
The stage could not be any better set.
The UEFA Champions League is back.
beginning, we just got started.
We're back on the Early Edge, presented by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Mike McClure, you like those first quarter bets, and that's where we're headed for Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I like the first quarter here for the Eagles tonight, Sia. You can lay minus half a point, minus 110, just simply be leading the football game after 1. And for a couple reasons. First of all, I like Philly generally when playing at home. And we know that this is a team that has the ability to go take up a chunk of the clock as well. So I really like this spot for them. When I look at this offense, I think it's going to be a lot better under Kellen Moore. Obviously, there's some concern with no A.J. Brown out there, but I don't think it really bothers them in neutral game script starting a game. I think where it could really impact them is if they're trailing late. That's where I think that they would really miss A.J. Brown more than anything. So I like this spot for them to get off to a really nice start. So when you look at their defense in the Brazil game, I have some question marks for sure. You've always had question marks about this defense. I do think some of it, though, was a product of the field they were playing on and just the conditions of the field and just the style of play with Green Bay and the way they played. So when I look at this matchup here, it's a home opener for them. You didn't really get up for the game in Brazil. There's no real massive environment. It's very uncomfortable. That is not the case here, especially after Saquon Barkley's performance. Lincoln Financial Field will be absolutely rocking, at least early, for the Eagles here. Got a good field goal kicker who can hit from distance, potentially only takes a field goal. And then when you look at the other side, Atlanta, I think that they're not as bad as they looked in week 1. The Steelers are an elite defense, but Kirk Cousins does not look healthy to me. And you're going to have to prove it. So I personally like the Eagles in a fast start here, lay the half a point in the opening quarter.
Okay, and we have Danny Brasco in the chat too. He's dropping some knowledge, and he dropped some knowledge yesterday on the primetime show when he took the under in that game, in that Bears game, which came in very, very easily as it turns out. So shout out to Danny Brasco. And don't forget, we've got a Monday Night Football primetime show tonight at 7:15 on this YouTube channel. All right, I'm kind of going in the other direction, but certainly Mike's pick can hit and my pick can hit. I'm going to take the points in this one. And don't get me wrong. This is not one of those high confidence, I got this plays. This is one of those grit your teeth, this is too many points type plays. And I do think the A.J. Brown thing, while he may only affect the line like a half a point, kind of in the same way Christian McCaffrey only affected the line by a half a point when he was out week 1. I do think that's a safety blanket that when Jalen Hurts doesn't have it, it is going to be impactful on third down and short, third down and long, red zone situations. So listen, Saquon Barkley is great. They still have Devontae Smith. We'll see about Dallas Goedert. I see somebody saying over 4 receptions. Well, it's at 4.5. Otherwise, I would have taken the over 3.5 receptions. So something to keep in mind there. But again, I think this is too many points. The thing about Kirk Cousins, I don't know how much I expect him to bounce back, but I do expect him to bounce back largely because he's a veteran. In the Texans-Bears game, I didn't know what to expect from Caleb Williams from a bounce-back standpoint because he's a rookie. But I do think Cousins will have this figured out, and I do think he'll pepper his receivers in the short area. That's Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, you name it. I think they're going to be around. And for the record, the receiver corps doesn't only have the A.J. Brown injury. There are other injuries. Jahan Dotson needs to get acclimated here. There's just a lot going on in that receiver corps that I think keeps this game relatively close. So listen, by the way, I think this could, if you want to be patient, I think this could kick back up to 6. So I'm just pointing that out. We had that 5.5, 6 number come in last night. If you want to be patient, I don't think it goes down to 5. I think if anything, it clicks back up to 6. So if you want to be patient and try to wait that out, please feel free to do that. Larry, I mentioned one Jahan Dotson, one former Washington Commander that we gave in division for some reason, even though he's pretty talented in my opinion. You've got to play on him.
Yeah, they've spent a 3rd-round pick in that trade, and so they obviously liked him, and he has talent, and now he has massive opportunity because after Devontae Smith, there's really nobody else. A.J. Brown is out. Johnny Wilson is questionable. They're going to call up Paris Campbell from the practice squad likely, and you have Britton Covey. So it's going to be Devontae Smith. It's going to be Dallas Goedert, who you could get over 3.5 receptions, but it's heavily juiced at some books if you like that angle. I think Jahan Dotson is going to make 2 to 3 catches, and I think he's going to clear this number over 26.5 receiving yards. He did run 24 routes last week. He got 1 target, but now it's totally out of necessity. He's going to be open. He's not going to get A.J. Terrell a lot. That's probably going to go to Devontae Smith. Jahan Dotson's going to be open. This guy has talent. This number is just so low when you're talking about a number 2 wide receiver in the Eagles offense. So I love Jahan Dotson tonight to finally make an impact. Everyone's praising him for how he knows the playbook, for where he is where he's supposed to be. And to me, that's going to be the most important thing combined with the opportunity. The other thing I like, which I haven't played yet, but is Ray McCloud, the slot guy for the Falcons, who did get 7 targets last week because Kirk Cousins wants to get the ball out quick. And McCloud and Kyle Pitts are going to be his closest targets. So I'm looking at Ray McCloud on the other side.
Yeah, Ray McCloud's interesting. You know, I actually looked at him too, Larry, and I just wasn't sure if that was a product of just kind of a week 1 anomaly and we're going to see other guys get mixed in more, or if really that is one of Kirk Cousins' key weapons. So that's really interesting. But both sides of the ball from a receiver standpoint, very interesting. Mike McClure, go ahead.
Yeah, just speaking about this game, because obviously won't be on the show later, pre-gaming it. Will Shipley, keep an eye on Will Shipley. I personally believe that they run Will Shipley as a wide receiver at times tonight. We saw it for a brief second in the Brazil game already, but Saquon Barkley and Will Shipley will both be on the field together. You could find him at 100 to 1 currently on a first touchdown market. I would bet that number's down to 60 to 1 by the time the game kicks off. But anyway, Will Shipley definitely going to be involved in the game plan for the Eagles tonight.
Is that somebody, to all the DFS people, is that someone from a showdown standpoint that you throw in, or is it just 2 out there?
Yep. No, definitely. I think he'll be on the field a lot tonight.
Hopefully you all listen to Fantasy Football Today DFS with me, Mike, and Meg Schaub every Thursday morning at 11 o'clock, because Mike drops so much knowledge, including, Mike, you dropped the Malik Neighbors. You just kind of like, it was like stream of consciousness. We were talking about the Giants-Commanders game, and I didn't even ask you this. I wasn't even being a good host. You were like, hey, and by the way, take Malik Neighbors over 62.5 receiving yards. As you said that, the line was like approaching 65.5, but he obviously absolutely crushed that. So I can't stress it enough. You get prop nuggets and against the spread and total nuggets in the Fantasy Football Today DFS show. Mike McClure kills it every single time. Sniper, speaking of killing it, you did mention in the chat, I noticed a few minutes ago that you didn't give out a home run prop, and you've been doing that lately. So what you got?
Yeah, the wind is slightly blowing in from right center in Wrigley Field, it looks like, but it's only like 5 miles per hour, so it shouldn't affect much. Joey Estes on the hill for the A's, terrible on the road, is prone to home runs. Cubs have been swinging the bats relatively well the last few weeks or so. Cody Bellinger hit 3 home runs last week. So I was looking at Cody Bellinger, but also Ian Happ, who is a switch hitter, but he'll be the left side of the box against the righty. Estes could work as well. Michael Busch could work. So that was kind of where I was going in the home run area.
All right. And Larry, I do want to mention Roger Long is in the chat. He says, Barkley receiving yards over. Any thoughts without A.J. Brown that maybe Barkley gets an extra look or two, or is that something you'd stay away from? I know prop stars would say running back receiving yards, it's kind of finicky. It's not something you can really lean on in terms of getting an edge. But would this be a situation you'd at least take a look at that?
Yeah, 17.5 seems very doable. I think he's going to be more involved in the passing game. Maybe it's Will Shipley like Mike thinks. So yeah, I like that look.
Okay. And the prop, Walter Rogers wants to know the Jahan Dotson prop. How high would you go? What's the cutoff in case this 26.5 moves up?
Yeah, maybe 28.5 tops.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think this is a really good look, Larry. All right. I think we have it mostly covered. Steve Folkert says Eagles -2.5 plus Hurts over 25 rushing yards is -114. It's a really good look. And something we should probably be doing a little bit more of on our shows is kind of checking out some of these combo props where you can get a really good number by using alt lines. And Steve, I think that's a really good way to attack this game. Eagles -2.5 plus the Hurts over 25 rushing yards. All right, let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. I'm on the Falcons +5.5 at -110. I will say this could go up to +6. So something to consider, maybe waiting this one out. Sniper, Paul Skeens over 6.5 Ks at -113, and the Padres -1.5 at +162. I did point out that if you wanted to take a look at the Padres money line, it's in that -125, -130 range. Mike McClure, Eagles first quarter -0.5 at -110. And Larry Hartstein, Jahan Dotson over 26.5 receiving yards at -113. He said he'd play it up to 28.5 yards. Well, that's not all the football we have on this channel today. Of course, tonight at 7:15, we've got the primetime Monday Night Football show. Captain that ship is Will Brinson. We've got our model picks. So much going on in that Monday Night Football show, including first touchdown scores. Maybe I'll drop in and drop a first touchdown score myself. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a great show. Thanks for being in here. Danny Brasco. Love that. Tay, thanks for being in here. Scott, David, Ed, Mike, Big Cheesy. Absolutely love this show. We do it every single day, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock. Hope you can join us every single time. On behalf of Jake the Snake on the ones and twos, Mike McClure, and of course, the Maestro and Matt Sniper. I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is The Early Edge. Have a great Monday, everyone. We rest our case.